Hello and welcome to another Blues Focus match preview where in our last game we did beat Stevenage 1-0 to surpass the 100 point mark and move on to 102 points for this League One campaign, which has been absolutely phenomenal, hasn't it? And a win in our last game at home for the season against Mansfield Town, where we are going to lift the League One trophy. And the day on a whole is just going to be absolutely amazing, isn't it? And it's going to be a nice occasion to reflect on the season and really show our appreciation towards the players and the manager and the owner and all the people involved at the club really for helping making this season possible really. And yeah, the fact that we're in a position now where a win would surpass Wolves' League One record points tally of 103 and then move within touching distance of Reading's 106 points. The fact that I'm even saying that is just absolutely crazy considering how we all felt at the end of last season on the final day against Norwich, where we won on the final day but were still relegated with 50 points. I remember feeling so dejected after that game and kind of scared really for what League One had in store, because although we did go on and spend a lot of money in the transfer window, you see all the outside noise and the people kind of willing us to not do well really. And yeah, a lot of people kind of taking aim at us throughout the summer, and from what Tom Wagner and Tom Brady say, FEA. So yeah, we've really followed that mantra of sticking to our guns, doing what we do best, and found the form this season of just winning and winning. And yeah, next up for us is Mansfield Town, and they'll be looking to spoil the party. And they go into this game not on the best run of form. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games and really struggling for points at the moment. Nigel Clough being their manager, and I remember in the reverse fixture they gave us a pretty good game in that tie, didn't they? It was a 1-1 draw back in October, and Williamson put us in the lead before Lee Gregory fired back with a free kick. And yeah, both teams have kind of gone on different trajectories from that point, and they're going to be up for the game nevertheless, because we've seen it a lot this season, haven't we, where teams have come to St Andrews. You can see it's a big game and a big occasion for them, and they tend to put a lot of bodies behind the ball and trying to frustrate us. But we've done really well this season, more times than not, being able to break down this block, score the goal, and then also be solid defensively. And the fact that we are unbeaten in the league at home this season goes to show the magnificent character of the team, and really showing what it takes to hopefully go on to the next level and really kick on in the championship next season. So for a score prediction for this game, I'm going to go for 2-0 victory for Birmingham. I mean, with that Stevenage game, seeing all the rotations in the starting 11, then I think it goes to show that Chris Davis is really focusing on this game and hopefully giving those fans a send-off with a victory at home. And I'm going to go with goals for Jay Stansfield and then maybe one of those late Ethan Laird runs. You never know. But yeah, he was one of those players that was rested during the game, as was Stansfield. He came on towards the end of the game, didn't he? Really making an impact out wide against Stevenage. And Christoph Clara actually was on the bench for the whole game, which is unusual territory for him, but I imagine he'll be back in the starting 11 for the game on Sunday. So really looking forward to it. And in terms of getting a Mansfield perspective, we spoke to Craig from Mansfield Matters to get the lowdown on their season so far, the evaluation of their campaign as a whole, and what they're expecting going into this game against Birmingham. So yeah, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And here's the segment with Craig. So I'm delighted to be joined here by Craig from Mansfield Matters to give the lowdown on the Mansfield news heading into this game. First of all, how are you doing, Craig?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on and allowing me to rant for 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, you say there that, allow yourself to rant, and I did look into the form heading into this game of Mansfield, and it's not really been a good end to the season for you guys. Where do you think it's gone wrong from, I suppose, a certain point roundabout? I don't know when you say this run of form started, because I remember at the start of the season, you guys were playing really well, and like heading into the fixture against you guys in October, you guys were in really good form. So like, what's happened between now and then?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's gone wrong because I think if you asked any Mansfield fan before a ball was even kicked this season of where we'd like to finish, it would have been fifth bottom because all that we cared about this year was survival. And we're just about on course for it as long as nothing miraculous happens at Bristol Rovers against Reading on Saturday. And then we might be a little bit more worried. But I think in terms of where it's gone wrong, we had a lot of momentum coming from last year's fantastic promotion campaign, which we took into this year. We added some quality in the summer in Lee Gregory, and you could really see the difference that he made for us. We survived the loss of Davies Keeler Dunn, and we adapted our shape really, really well, and we got a little bit of momentum there. But where it's gone wrong is exactly that. We've been hit by injuries, and then we've been hit by players not being fully fit and fully available for us. We struggle to get past 30 minutes in a game now. If you watch our probably last, I'm going to say maybe last 15 games back, from the first minute to the 25th half an hour mark, we're at it. We, going toe to toe with teams and really giving it a good game. But after that, we just absolutely crash because we've not got the energy. A lot of players struggle to play games back to back. So if we play Saturday, Tuesday, we know we're up for it. That's why the Easter weekend turned out how it was, because we just physically shattered. And then you add into that players that were out at the start of the season who Nigel Clough thought, do you know what, I'll keep them registered anyway because they might come to fruition. That was a mistake. Alfie Kilgore and Rhys Oates, bless him, impacted a little bit sort of November, December time, but really haven't impacted. And then Rhys Oates picks up another injury. He's been left out of the registration now anyway, but Alfie Kilgore is back fit and available, but hasn't had a pre-season and therefore is susceptible to mistakes and can't get through games. And that's pretty much the problem through 90% of our squad. I'd say we've probably got 4 or 5 players, if that, who can manage to do consistently 90 minutes week in, week out. And that's where we're struggling. We're just getting torn apart. We're making silly, sloppy mistakes. Teams are figuring it out and we're figuring us out. And we're just getting caught with our pants down. And, if it wasn't for that early season form and Lee Gregory giving that experience and expertise, which he's got, and contributing with his goals, we would be bottom of the league and we'd be going back to League Two with an absolute whimper. So thank God for that goal against you guys. That could be the goal which keeps us up. It's very much fine margins yet again for Mansfield this year.
Yeah, it was a decent goal as well, and what I alluded to earlier about the form that you guys were in heading into the game against us. I think you'd won 7 of your 13 games in League One heading into that game, and I remember you guys definitely deserved a point at least from the game. So looking from that game to now, was there anything that you learned in particular about your side from the game against Birmingham?
I think it's more about our character of a squad. I think you look at the differences between the two clubs. I don't think there's many other clubs that you could say it's that vast. Like, you guys spent what, £14 million on one player, maybe even more. We've not spent that collectively in our entire history as a club. So there's the levels automatically. You've got players who are very much capable of playing at Premier League standard within your ranks, playing at League One level, playing some good stuff. You're expected to, go and turn teams over week in, week out, which to be fair, you've done relatively well, which is why you've got to, the amount of points that you've had and won the league title at a canter, etc., etc. But in that particular game, so it's been the Nigel Clough mantra, which is football's not about finance. It's not about who's got the best players. It's not about who's got the most money. It's about 11 players going against 11 players. And I think that game we dug our heels in a little bit. We got caught on the break. It was a really sloppy goal from our point of view to concede from our own throw-in, where we conceded, gave the ball away in the edge of your own box and you turned us over in the blink of an eye. But then we just had that fight back in character, which Mansfield had in abundance last season. And being still early doors, I think it sent a message out to other clubs in League One at that point that we weren't there just to make the numbers up. We were there to compete. As we are now, that the comparisons from then are, we just don't have the players available that we had then. We had pretty much a fully fit squad. We could pick from a number of players and play a number of formations and have that positive energy about us. We just don't have that now. I think everybody's a little bit fearful about what might happen on Sunday, and we'll address that later on, I'm sure. But in terms of where we are then to now, it's just caught up with us. The fact, the momentum which we had and the positive energy and the adrenaline was always going to run out at some point, and we were always going to get caught out. And that's exactly what's happened. But fortunately, we got just about enough points on the board before, January to really crash us. And I think the other factor to where we are now as well, mentioning January, is the lack of investment, the lack of transfer business. Nigel Clough was adamant all throughout January. No, we're fine. We've got enough players to see us around. And then we get turned over at Shrewsbury with 10 men, and all of a sudden he goes, I need 2 players. I don't care what positions they are. I just need fresh legs. Why did you not say that 4 weeks ago? We might have been safe by now. Sometimes he can be frustrating. I'd probably say he's one of the best managers around, and we love having him at the club. We're very fortunate to have him and get him in the circumstances we did. But oh my God, he can frustrate you sometimes with his stubbornness. You can see he's definitely got that trait from his dad.
I can remember playing actually against his Burton side in the championship, and it's just a team that we couldn't beat in the 2 seasons they were in the championship. Just proved to be a bogey side for us. But with Nigel Clough, rumor has it that he's going to sign a new contract extension. And with what you've said about the recruitment and the players that I guess need to come in, the fresh legs, how would you say that this summer's going to pan out from kind of what you know already and what you think you need as well?
It's 50-50 for me. I think the spotlight now will be put back on the owners. I don't think we'll hear anything on Clough's contract until we achieve safety, and then it will be a matter of what he wants to do, and more importantly, what his wife wants him to do. He nearly stepped away at the end of last season. He said, "If I don't take you up, I'm going." This season he's here because he had an automatic 1 year extension on written into his contract. So he'll honour that and see that out. It will all be about what he wants to do, and I think he'll want some assurances from the owners, because reading between the lines with what happened in January, I think he was promised a little bit more than what he was actually given in terms of being able to bring personnel in, and that really has shot us in the foot a little bit. A lot of our players are out of contract. We very much feel like we're at the end of a journey with this squad that we've got. A lot of them are older players as well, and we want to see some younger players brought in, not players that are over 30. I think if Nigel Clough saw a player that was 42, he'd still sign them, which says a lot about the way he operates. So the onus will go back on the owners in terms of what they're willing to invest. And they've made no secret of the fact that whilst they have got some money in the bank, they want Mansfield Town Football Club to be self-sufficient, and that is exactly the model they've operated on. We've got a good manager in place who's able to add to that, but at this point, there comes points along that journey where sometimes you need that little bit of a cash injection. You need that budget to be widened a little bit, and you need to make that investment. So, if the Radfords, the owners, are willing to increase that a little bit and put the hand in the pocket and just take that risk, I think Clough will stay, and we will see an overhaul in the summer. Probably 8 to 10 players brought in, bring the average age of the squad down a little bit. But if they're not, I don't see Nigel Clough wanting to stay beyond another 6 months to a year. And then even then, he'll just option all of the squad that we've got, which is not going to take us forward. In fact, if we do that, we'll be odds on for relegation next season. I think it'll be an even tougher battle than we've had this year in the last 20 games or so. So it all depends on what mood the Radfords are in and whether or not they're willing to meet the demands of Nigel Clough. But if he does go, I think they've missed a golden opportunity, because the management duo, or the management team, shall we say, that would fit the Clough mould and more importantly the Radford mould in terms of how they want to operate would be Paul Warne and Richie Barker, who were available when Mansfield were in a terrible run, and where any other manager, given the run we were on, would have been sacked. They were available for nothing. We've missed the boat. They're at MK Dons now. So, but do you know what? You can't look back, can you, and say, if we'd have done this, if we'd have done that, if we'd have not registered those players, if we'd have brought 2 more in, you can't change what's gone. You can only change what's in front of you, and what's in front of us is 3 games to try and stay in the league. If Bristol Rovers somehow manage to beat rampant Reading on Saturday, and if Bristol Rovers fail to do that, we've done our jobs, and it's all about next season. So 1 game at a time, and it is what it is. But if you'd have asked us at the start of the season, are we happy? Yeah, delighted with where we are.
I know, like, because you're on a bad run, kind of like negative about things, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be fine, Craig. I'm pretty sure you're going to be in League One next season. And sort of going back to the sort of transfer policy that you guys have had, and I suppose having to be creative in the transfer market with what you've got. One of the sort of surprise deals that I've seen this summer in League One was you guys bringing in Dom Dwyer, because for most of his career, if not all of his career, he'd been playing in America, and then all of a sudden he signed up for you guys and he scored 3 goals in the 5 games that he has played for you. So what do you make of that business?
Yeah, if only we'd have actually signed him in the summer, given him a full pre-season, and got him some more game time. It could have been very, very different indeed. And of course, we had the opportunity to do it, but the finances weren't quite right, from what I understand. So he looked for clubs elsewhere, didn't get them, and fortunately came in sort of late February time when we needed a little bit of firepower. But again, hasn't played for 8 months, hasn't had a pre-season. So can't play 90 minutes in a game, so can give us 45, maybe 60 at best. But he is a handful. He looks lively in the box. He gets on the end of free kicks, corners. He's powerful in the air. He's a rat in the box, if you like. He knows where the back of the net is, and his 3 goals that he's scored, or 4 goals, or whatever it is, he scored 3 and 3 recently, have been pivotal to where we are in games. So he's been a welcome addition. But again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I'm fairly certain that we'll see him on Sunday, because we've got no other option other than putting a centre back up front, which, yeah, we're probably going to do that as well, aren't we?
Well, it's going to be interesting, nevertheless, to see what team you guys line up with. And we've seen it this season at St Andrews, where teams have tried to play against us in different ways. You get the low blocks, you get the teams that try to go man for man with the press, you see the high lines. So, from what you've seen at Mansfield this season, how do you think they're going to shape up against Birmingham on Sunday?
I can tell you Nigel Clough's formation. It's Christy Pym in goal and 10 players outfield. We don't have a formation. We just chuck your toys out and see what, chuck the pieces out and see what happens. But I think because of the fact that we are rubbish and can't last past 30 minutes in a game, we'll do what we have done for the past, 5-6 games or so, and that is come out and give it a real good go, try and play high pressing football for half an hour and just last as long as our legs will physically allow us to do. Try and nab a goal early, and then we'll try and defend. But we're incapable of doing that. So it'll be a very entertaining game. It could be a high scoring game, or it could be a surprise package. I think we'll come out and we'll give it a go. There's lots of factors in the air, isn't there, with this particular game. I think if the pressure's off us, which I'm hoping to God it will be by 3 o'clock on Sunday, then it will be a different proposition altogether, and we'll see a more relaxed Mansfield Town. But because we're up against it at the minute as we speak, I think it'd be a different kettle of fish. Something has happened for me in that dressing room, which has changed a real positive squad, which will fight for each other and play for each other, to something which is a little bit more negative. We're starting to argue with each other a little bit more, and it's not as harmonious as what it once was. So that could have an impact as well. But obviously, I don't think anyone can predict what we're going to do striker-wise. Anyone that's been glued to Sky News or any news outlet in the past 48 hours will, of course, know what's happened to one of our strikers, which means he's unavailable. And unfortunately for us, I don't want to get into the crux of the situation off the pitch as to why he's ended up where he's ended up. That's not for any one of us to discuss. But what is for us to discuss is the fact that it's another player we have unavailable. And unfortunately, the position which he played up front, we don't have any strikers available that are capable of doing the job. Well, having said that, we do, but Nigel Clough, for whatever reason, doesn't want to give them the opportunity or doesn't trust them. We've got Ben Waine, who is apparently an international footballer, yet to be convinced. Again, it is New Zealand, on loan from Plymouth Argyle, who hasn't hit the ground running for us this season. Even when he's been given the chance to do so, he just hasn't been up to standard. And then we've got Jordan Rhodes on loan from Blackpool, who in this division is very well known for his goal scoring exploits. He's barely played. I don't know why we bothered to sign him, to be honest. He doesn't look like he's interested. And again, it's just another mythical thing. So, in fact, I can tell you exactly what will happen. We'll play Aidan Flint up front. Centre back. There you go.
He's an aerial threat, that's for sure.
Not for Mansfield, it's not. Do you know what? It's quite funny. He posted a reel on his Instagram the other week of all of the goals that he scored, because he's a very good goal scorer for a centre back. Loads of headers from set pieces and stuff. He's not scored a single header for Mansfield in the 2 years that he's been with us. Every other club he scored headers on a regular basis for. He'd be up there with maybe 10 goals a season. Nah, not a single header for Mansfield.
That is a stat. I remember Aidan Flint actually back when he was playing for Bristol City. Harry Redknapp was interested in signing him, and that was at a time where we were just spending money on anyone really. And I remember Flint said in a later interview that he dodged a bullet by not signing for us. And yeah, that's one of those things that I think maybe some of the fans might remember at St Andrews on Sunday. And as for Jordan Rhodes, one of the players in the Championship that just happened to score against us a lot of times. So I wouldn't be surprised if he suddenly turns it on against us to disrupt our promotion party. But nevertheless, can I get a score prediction from you, Craig, and what you think is going to happen in the game?
It's such a good thing. I mean, first and foremost, obviously, congratulations for doing what you've done this season. It's always great as a fan when you see a promotion winning season, especially in the way in which you guys have done it. You've won it at a canter. You're on course to break records. I believe you've not lost at home all season, so that's another record you want to break. You're going to get presented with a trophy. We'll give you a guard of honor. It'll be a great party atmosphere for you guys, and we're expecting to come and get turned over. And whilst my heart says that we'll get beat significantly heavily, I'm probably saying in the 6-7-1 sort of region, because we are terrible. I cannot emphasize it. We are terrible defensively. My head says that if the pressure's off us, which we're hoping it will be by the time we kick off on Sunday, it's typical Mansfield that we will come and spoil your day and win 2-1 in the last minute. So I'm going with that.
Wow, that would be a turn up for the books. But honestly, I feel like it's one of those things where this season, a lot of the fan base has been trying to get away from the typical Blues saying. And you say there about typical Mansfield that it would be, to disrupt our promotion party. And it kind of be typical Blues in the old way that we'd lose on the last game. But yeah, I'm hoping from my case that that's not going to happen. But obviously, from your case, that would secure your survival if you're still worried about that.
I'm still very worried about it because even me, I'm a proper pessimist. We could, get survival without kicking a ball on Saturday. And I'd still be thinking, yeah, someone's got a registration wrong somewhere, haven't they? And we're going to get docked points for it or something. It's never over, is it? You can never really rest easy until it's done. So, yeah, I just want us to come out and perform because, we've been through it this season. And I just hope that it's a good, entertaining game for everyone concerned.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for this preview, Craig. I've been really entertained by what you've said. And yeah, where can we find you on social media and the channel that you operate?
If you want to come and be reminded of sometimes how crap football can be, we're at MTFC Matters on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. Come and find us. We're live every week and we do daft, silly games as well. So we try and keep you entertained and don't take ourselves too seriously.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for your time, Craig. And as for our channel, we're going to have Tommy's vlog coming out on Saturday. And also we're going to have an end of season podcast that's going to be coming out in the build up to our final game against Cambridge. So if you like this video, make sure to like, share, comment and subscribe. Check out Craig's channel as well and keep right on.